The mansion's door swung open, not for guests but to expel. There she stood, the elderly mother of a millionaire sheikh, her few bags tossed onto the pavement, with nowhere to go. The cruel daughter-in-law, a victorious smile playing on her lips, had finally made good on her threat. No one could have imagined that thousands of miles away, a small detail, a forgotten passport, would bring the sheikh back to witness the most shocking scene of his life. The private jet sliced through the night sky, each kilometer shortening the distance between the sheikh and his home. A feeling of frustration accompanied him. The passport left on his bedside table, such a trivial piece of paper, had forced an abrupt return, cancelling crucial engagements in Geneva. He grumbled to himself, imagining the inconvenience it would cause. Little did he know that this small lapse of memory was, in fact, a detour orchestrated by fate, a divine intervention that would bring him back in time for a moment that would redefine his life. The landing was smooth, almost inaudible, at the private airport. The sheikh dismissed his entourage, preferring to drive the luxurious SUV that awaited him himself. He wanted silence. He wanted to process the irritation of the interrupted journey. The city lights twinkled as he approached the exclusive neighborhood where his mansion stood, a monument to his success and legacy. The image of his mother, the matriarch he loved so dearly and who, in his mind, lived surrounded by every comfort, floated through his thoughts. A pang of guilt struck him for leaving her alone with his daughter-in-law, but he quickly dismissed it. His wife, though sometimes a bit authoritarian, would never be capable of such cruelty, or so he believed. The car glided down the palm-lined driveway that led to the main gate. A strange feeling began to tighten in his chest. Something was out of place. The mansion's exterior lights, usually a warm golden glow, seemed harsher, almost aggressive, illuminating a specific spot on the pavement. He slowed down, the tires making a slight hiss on the asphalt. The SUV's engine rumbled, but the silence inside the vehicle was deafening, filled only by the accelerated beat of his own heart. Then he saw it. In the middle of the immaculate pavement, under the harsh light of the streetlights, was a hunched figure, small and fragile. Her bags, his mother's few old bags, were unceremoniously thrown beside her. And the figure was unmistakable, his mother, sitting there in the cold night, her head bowed, her shoulders trembling with silent sobs. The sheikh felt the air thin in his lungs. An electric shock coursed through his body, paralyzing him for an instant. He saw the mansion door close with a dry snap, a sound that echoed like a gunshot in his chest. And in the doorway, for a split second, before the door sealed completely, he glimpsed his wife's profile, a cold, satisfied smile playing on her lips. The image seared itself into his mind like a branding iron. The cruel daughter-in-law, the merciless door, and his mother, his beloved mother, helpless on the street. The scene exploded in his consciousness, shattering all his certainties, destroying the image of a safe and welcoming home he had built. Rage, a primal and overwhelming fury, began to bubble in his chest, hot and relentless. His fingers gripped the steering wheel so tightly that his knuckles turned white. The forgotten passport. Fate. It wasn't a coincidence, it was a revelation. And he had arrived at the exact moment his mother's world collapsed. The sheikh swallowed hard, the bitter taste of betrayal filling his mouth. He had to act, and fast. The SUV's engine silenced abruptly, a sharp hiss of tires cutting through the cold night air. The sheikh didn't lose a second. The car door opened with a dull thud, and he leaped out, his feet hitting the asphalt with a force that seemed to want to crack it. Every fiber of his being pulsed with an incandescent fury, a bubbling lava that threatened to explode. He ran to the hunched figure, the image of his mother sitting on the pavement, forming a tight knot in his chest. "Mother!" he exclaimed, his voice hoarse, almost unrecognizable. The matriarch slowly raised her head, her tear-filled, swollen eyes widening at the sight of him. A murmur of disbelief escaped her trembling lips. She tried to stand, shame and shock etched on her aged face, but her legs failed her. The sheikh knelt on the cold pavement, ignoring the pain in his knees. He enveloped her in a tight embrace, feeling the fragility of her body, the uncontrollable tremor that ran through her. The scent of her familiar perfume, mingled with the cold night and her tears, tightened his heart even more. "Forgive me, mother. Oh, my mother, forgive me." "Never again," he whispered against her hair, the words laden with a promise he intended to fulfill with the force of a hurricane. He helped her to her feet, his eyes sweeping over the few worn bags lying on the ground. The image of the mansion door closing, his wife's cold smile, returned to haunt him. The rage, once wild, now transformed into a cold, cutting determination. He picked up the bags with one hand, the other wrapping around his mother's waist to support her. "Come, mother, you'll be all right," he said, his voice now firm, though still with a contained tremor. He guided her to the SUV, carefully opened the passenger door, and helped her settle into the soft leather seat, ignoring the dirt from the pavement that now marked his expensive clothes. He closed the door gently, making sure she was safe. His eyes fixed on the imposing mansion, its lights shining almost mockingly. The marble and glass facade, once a symbol of his prosperity and home, now seemed a fortress of cruelty and betrayal. The night silence was broken only by the faint hum of the car engine and the furious beat of his own heart. He didn't hesitate. He walked back to the main entrance, his steps echoing heavily on the stone driveway. The door, which had closed with such mercilessness, now awaited him. He reached into his pocket, his fingers finding the familiar weight of his key. There was no need to ring the doorbell, no need for formalities. He was in his home and a storm was about to break. The key turned in the lock with an audible click, a small sound that resonated like a gunshot in the stillness. He pushed the door, which opened silently to reveal the grand entrance hall. The air inside the mansion seemed dense, charged with an invisible tension. The crystal lights of the chandelier twinkled, but the light he sought was that of truth. "Saphira," he called, his voice low but charged with a dangerous authority that made the mansion's echo tremble. His eyes swept the vast space, searching for the woman who had turned his home into a stage for her cruelty. He had no doubt she was there, hidden in the shadows, perhaps savoring her victory. But her victory was about to turn to ashes. The sheikh's voice, low but charged with a dangerous authority, echoed through the marble walls, and the mansion seemed to hold its breath. A rustle of silk drew his attention to the top of the grand staircase, where Saphira appeared, descending the steps with a studied elegance. Her eyes, initially surprised by her husband's unexpected presence, quickly transformed into a mask of concern and affection. "My love, you're back. What happened? I thought you'd be in Geneva," she exclaimed, her voice melodious, but with an almost imperceptible note of nervousness. She descended the last steps and approached him, extending her hand to touch him, as if seeking an embrace. The sheikh recoiled a step, repulsion burning in his eyes. Her gesture of intimacy was an insult in the face of the image of his mother sitting on the pavement. "Don't touch me, Saphira," he growled, his voice now sharp as a blade. Shock spread across her face, and the hand she had extended slowly dropped. "But what is this? Why are you speaking like that? Has something happened?" she asked, her voice a little sharper, trying to maintain composure. He stared at her, every trace of his contained fury visible in his dark eyes. "What happened is that fate brought me back to witness your cruelty, Saphira. What happened is that I saw, with my own eyes, my mother, the woman who gave me life, thrown onto the street like trash, while you closed the door to my house with a smile of satisfaction on your lips." Saphira's face paled. She tried to stammer a reply, but the words seemed caught in her throat. I'm I don't know what you're talking about, my love. Your mother, on the street, that's absurd. She must have gone for a walk, perhaps. She's so old. Sometimes she gets confused. Don't lie to me, the sheikh thundered, his voice growing in volume, filling the hall with his indignation. A nearby crystal vase trembled with the force of his words. Don't you dare insult my intelligence with your blatant lies. I saw you. I saw her bags. I saw your smile. There is no walk that justifies an elderly woman being expelled from her own son's home. False tears began to well in Saphira's eyes. She tried a new tactic, her voice choked. She's so difficult, my love. You don't know what it's like to live with her. She disrespects me, defies me. I just tried to teach her a lesson for her own good, so she would learn to value what she has. The sheikh's fury reached its peak. Teach her a lesson? Value what? Humiliation? The misery you put her through. I knew everything, Saphira. The scraps, the heavy chores, the threats. I thought you were a dignified woman, capable of caring for my mother, of honoring the family. But you are a monster. He took a step forward, and Saphira recoiled, her face now a mixture of fear and resentment. You will not deceive me anymore. You will not hurt my mother anymore. This house, Saphira, is no longer yours. My life, Saphira, is no longer yours. You are expelled. Forever. Saphira's breath hitched. Expelled? You can't do that. I am your wife. I have rights. You lost all your rights the moment you threw my mother onto the street, the sheikh retorted, his voice cold and implacable. There is no negotiation. There is no forgiveness. You have 1 hour to take what is yours and leave. Your belongings will be sent wherever you wish, but not to this house, and don't you dare think of coming back or seeking out my mother. I will make you bitterly regret every act of cruelty. He turned his back to her, the final and irrevocable decision hanging in the air. The silence that followed was broken only by the slight tremor in Saphira's shoulders, not of sadness, but of a contained rage and a hatred she could no longer hide. The sheikh didn't need to see her face to know that the mask had completely fallen. He walked back to the door, his steps firm and determined. The image of his mother, safe in the SUV, was the only beacon amidst the darkness of betrayal. His place was with her, to heal the wounds Saphira had inflicted. The sheikh stepped out, closing the mansion door behind him, this time not to expel but to seal the end of a dark chapter and the beginning of a new promise. The heavy click of the mansion door reverberated in the night silence, a definitive sound that sealed the end of an era of deception and cruelty. The sheikh, his heart still pounding in his chest, turned and walked quickly back to the SUV where his mother waited. Through the tinted glass, he could see her fragile silhouette, huddled, an image that tore at his soul. Guilt, a bitter poison, now mingled with an iron determination. He would make everything right. He opened the passenger door gently, finding his mother still huddled, her tear-filled eyes fixed on the imposing mansion. A silent tear streamed down her wrinkled face. Her body still trembled slightly. "Mother," he said, his voice soft, a balm after the storm of his fury. He extended his hand, and she held it, her skin cold and delicate in his fingers. "Let's go inside. You're safe now." She looked at him, her eyes wide with disbelief, as if expecting the nightmare to prolong. "Inside?" she murmured, her voice almost inaudible. "But she's gone," he affirmed, his voice firm, leaving no room for doubt. "Forever. This is your home, Mother. Always has been and always will be." He helped her out of the vehicle, supporting her as she stood. Her legs still seemed weak, but she leaned on his strength, a trembling sigh escaping her lips. He guided her back to the main entrance. The grand entrance hall, which moments before seemed charged with tension, now exuded a silent emptiness. The crystal chandelier still twinkled, but its light now seemed welcoming, not mocking. "Let's go to your suite, Mother," he said, guiding her firmly. They passed the grand staircase, and he ignored the faint aroma of Saphira's expensive perfume that still lingered in the air. His only priority was her comfort. He led her to her old suite, a spacious room overlooking a serene garden, a space that Saphira had subtly made less accessible over time. The room was cold, as if it hadn't been used in a long while. He went straight to the thermostat, adjusting it to a comfortable temperature. A soft hum filled the room as the heating system came to life. "Sit here," he said, indicating a soft armchair near the window. He helped her settle in, covering her with a cashmere blanket he found folded. "I'm cold," she confessed, her teeth chattering slightly. "I know, Mother, but you'll warm up now, and I'll arrange something warm for you to drink and eat." He knelt before her, gently rubbing her hands. "You don't need to worry about anything else. I'm here." He called the house staff, who, though usually discreet, now moved with a new sense of urgency and respect, sensing the change in atmosphere. He ordered a warm, comforting meal, a soothing herbal tea, and instructed that a warm bath be prepared for his mother, and that the suite be carefully cleaned and tidied, removing any trace of neglect. While they waited, he sat beside his mother, holding her hand. The silence was not awkward, but a shared space of healing. He felt the tremors in her hand slowly subside. "I'm so sorry, Mother," he repeated, guilt still a weight in his chest. "I should have noticed. I should have come back sooner." She squeezed his hand weakly. "You came back, my son. That's what matters." Her eyes, still red, now held a glimmer of hope. "I thought I'd never see you again. I thought I'd die on the street." Those words pierced his heart like daggers. "Never, Mother, never again. I promise. You will have everything you deserve and more. Peace, comfort, respect, everything." The head housekeeper, Aisha, a woman of kind demeanor who had served the family for years, brought a tray with steaming tea and small pastries. The sweet, warm aroma filled the room. "Thank you, Aisha," the sheikh said, taking the teacup. "Mother, drink some. It will do you good." His mother took the cup with both hands, feeling the warmth. She took a sip, a sigh of relief escaping her lips. The tension in her shoulders visibly lessened. The sheikh watched her, a deep sense of relief washing over him, mingled with a profound anger towards Saphira. He knew this was just the beginning. The emotional scars would take time to heal, but he was committed to the journey. He would ensure that Saphira faced the full consequences of her actions, beyond being expelled from his home. Legal actions, financial repercussions, he would spare no effort to ensure she understood the gravity of her cruelty. But that would be for tomorrow. That night, his only focus was his mother. He envisioned a new life for her, a life full of joy and dignity. He would take her on trips, surround her with love and care, and restore her place of honor within the family and the community. The mansion, once a golden cage for his mother, would become her sanctuary again. He looked at his mother, now drinking her tea more calmly, a slight color returning to her cheeks. A small, almost imperceptible smile played on her lips. It was a beginning. The sheikh felt a new promise solidify in his heart. The storm had passed, and though the destruction was great, the reconstruction would begin now, brick by brick, with love and unwavering devotion. The small, almost imperceptible smile on his mother's lips was a beacon, guiding the sheikh out of the darkness of guilt. The storm had passed, but the reconstruction would begin now, brick by brick, with love and unwavering devotion, and he was ready for every step. That night, the sheikh did not leave his mother's side. After she finished her tea and pastries, and after a warm bath that helped her relax, he guided her to bed. The fresh silk sheets and soft mattress were a brutal contrast to the harsh night she had recently endured. He sat beside her, reading a book of Arabic poetry she loved, his voice low and melodious, filling the room with a long-forgotten peace. She fell asleep quickly, a deep, undisturbed sleep, the first in a long time. The sheikh remained there until the sun began to peek through the curtains, painting the sky with shades of pink and gold. At dawn, with his mother still sleeping soundly, the sheikh rose. The mansion, once a stage for Saphira's cruelty, now seemed to await his orders, ready to be purified. He summoned Aisha, the head housekeeper, and the house manager, Rashid, for a meeting in his office. The atmosphere was solemn. "From today," the sheikh began, his voice grave and firm, "my mother is the matriarch of this house, and she will be treated with the highest dignity and respect. Any staff member who has neglected their duties or, worse, condoned the mistreatment inflicted upon her will be dismissed immediately." Aisha nodded, her eyes moist with relief and gratitude. "Understood, Sheikh. My loyalty has always been to your mother. I will ensure she has everything she needs." Rashid, a middle-aged man with an impeccable posture, seemed a little pale. "Sir, I assure you that all care protocols will be restored. I deeply regret any failure on my part." The sheikh stared at him. "This is not the time for apologies, Rashid. It is time for action. I want my mother's suite redecorated to her taste, with all the amenities she desires. I want a private doctor to examine her today, and I want a new system implemented to ensure she has unrestricted access to any part of the house, to any meal, at any time. No exceptions." "Yes, Sheikh, it will be done," Rashid replied, his voice firmer now, understanding the seriousness of the situation. The sheikh then proceeded to give instructions regarding Saphira. He called his lawyer, instructing him to immediately initiate divorce proceedings, ensuring that Saphira had no access to any of the family's assets or to any sum that could allow her to live comfortably. "I want her to feel the weight of her actions, not just the humiliation," he told the lawyer on the phone, his voice cold as ice. "I want her to lose everything she believed was hers by right." He also instructed his head of security to ensure that Saphira could not approach the property or his mother under penalty of arrest. When the sheikh returned to his mother's room, she was awake, sitting in bed, watching the sunrise. A small, gentle smile played on her lips. Her eyes, though still carrying a trace of sadness, now sparkled with a serenity he hadn't seen in years. "Good morning, my son," she said, her voice still a little weak, but with a familiar melody. He approached, kissing her forehead. "Good morning, Mother. How do you feel?" "As if I've woken from a nightmare, and you were there to save me." She held his hand, her thin fingers caressing his skin. "I heard you reading. It was so good. I'm here now, Mother, and I'm not going anywhere," he promised. "The doctor will be here soon for a checkup, and then what would you like to do? Breakfast in the garden? Perhaps a visit to your old library?" Her eyes widened slightly. "The library? I haven't been in there for so long." A shadow of pain crossed her face. "Don't worry," the sheikh said softly. "Those days are over. This house is yours, Mother, and you can go wherever you want, whenever you want. No one will stop you." Aisha entered discreetly, bringing a breakfast tray fit for a queen: fresh fruits, warm flatbreads, homemade jams, a perfect poached egg, and freshly squeezed pomegranate juice. The delicious aroma filled the room. "Good morning, madam," Aisha said, a genuine smile on her face. "I've prepared your favorite breakfast." The sheikh's mother looked at the tray, then at Aisha, and warmth spread across her face. "Thank you, Aisha. It's beautiful." She picked up a piece of bread, her fingers still a little shaky, but with a new determination. The sheikh watched, his heart warming. It was a small step, but significant. Dignity was beginning to return: a sip of tea, a piece of bread, a smile. He knew that the journey to full healing would be long, but the foundation was being laid. The mansion, once cold and oppressive, began to breathe again, full of promises of a future where love and respect would reign supreme. He was determined to restore every piece of what had been stolen from her. The Sheikh's mother picked up a piece of bread, her fingers still a little shaky, but with a new determination. She brought it to her mouth, chewing slowly, savoring every crumb. The Sheikh watched, his heart warming with the scene. It was a small step, but significant. Dignity was beginning to return, a sip of tea, a piece of bread, a smile. He knew that the journey to full healing would be long, but the foundation was being laid. The mansion, once cold and oppressive, began to breathe again, full of promises of a future where love and respect would reign supreme. He was determined to restore every piece of what had been stolen from her. While his mother enjoyed breakfast, the Sheikh felt his phone vibrate in his pocket. It was his lawyer, Adnan. He excused himself to his mother and stepped into the hallway, answering the call with a low, serious voice. "Adnan, any news?" "Yes, Sheikh. Safira's accounts have been frozen and the divorce proceedings have been filed. She's furious, obviously, but there's nothing she can do. The evidence you provided is irrefutable." A knot tightened in the Sheikh's stomach, but not from regret. It was confirmation that justice was being served. "Excellent. I want every detail of her cruelty exposed, Adnan. I don't want her to have a single cent she can use to rebuild herself, or worse, to try to approach my mother again." "Understood, Sheikh. I'm working to ensure she loses all privileges and assets she believed she was entitled to. It will be a hard fall." "So be it. She deserves every bit of it, and make sure the restraining order is as strict as possible. I don't want her within a kilometer of my mother or this property. It's already in motion. The police have been notified and are aware of the situation. There will be no loopholes." The Sheikh hung up, feeling a somber satisfaction. Safira would pay, and pay dearly. He took a deep breath, pushing away the darkness of anger, to focus on the light his mother represented. Upon returning to the room, the private doctor, Dr. Kamal, had already arrived. He was a middle-aged man with a gentle gaze and steady hands. He greeted the Sheikh with a respectful nod and turned to his mother. "Good morning, madam. I'm Dr. Kamal. I'll do a quick checkup to ensure everything is well." The Sheikh's mother seemed a little apprehensive, but her son's presence by her side calmed her. Dr. Kamal examined her carefully, measuring her blood pressure, listening to her heart and lungs, and asking about her general well-being. He noted her thinness, the marks of stress, and the weakness in her limbs. "Your body has been under great stress, madam. There are signs of mild malnutrition and exhaustion, but fortunately, there's nothing irreversible. We need plenty of rest, nutritious food, and above all, peace of mind." The doctor looked at the Sheikh. "I recommend a vitamin regimen, gentle physiotherapy to restore muscle strength, and a calm, loving environment." "It will be done, Dr. Kamal," the Sheikh promised. "She will have the best care." "Excellent. I'll return tomorrow for another checkup. For now, just rest and enjoy your son's company." After the doctor left, the Sheikh's mother leaned back against the pillows, a slight tiredness on her face. "I'm glad it's nothing serious," she murmured. "Me too, mother. Now, about the library. Do you still want to go?" A spark of excitement lit up her eyes. "Yes, my son. I would love to. There's a book I was reading before everything happened. A collection of 1001 Nights Tales. Perfect. After a little more rest, Aisha will help you get dressed, and we'll go. And then perhaps a stroll through the garden. The sun is beautiful today." Aisha, who had returned to clear the breakfast tray, smiled warmly. "It will be a pleasure, madam. I have a light, comfortable dress that will be perfect for the garden." The Sheikh's mother nodded, a genuine smile spreading across her lips. It was a smile the sheikh hadn't seen in years, a smile that spoke of hope and a future that, for a time, seemed impossible. He sat on the edge of the bed, holding her hand. "I promise, Mother, that each day will be better than the last. This is your home and your life, and I am here to ensure you live it with all the joy and dignity you deserve." The soft sound of the wind rustling the curtains filled the room, and the morning sun flooded the space with a golden light. The mansion, once a place of shadows and oppressive silence, began to vibrate with the promise of a new beginning. The sheikh felt a peace settle in his heart, a peace that was not just the end of a storm, but the harbinger of a glorious dawn. The reconstruction had begun, and he was ready for every brick, every laugh, every moment of healing that would come. The sheikh remained by his mother's side as she rested, the silence of the room filled only by the soft rustle of the curtains and the distant song of birds in the garden. The golden morning light bathed the space, painting the walls with warm tones, and he watched her tranquil breathing, a silent relief filling his chest. The promise of a new beginning was not just a hope, but a reality he was determined to build, brick by brick. After a while, the sheikh's mother opened her eyes, a renewed sparkle in them. "I'm ready for the library, my son," she said, her voice firmer. Aisha entered the room, holding a light silk dress in sky blue that seemed to gently embrace her body. "This will be perfect, madam, for a walk around the house." The mother nodded with a small smile, and Aisha helped her dress with a delicacy that spoke of respect and affection. The journey to the library was slow, but full of meaning. The sheikh offered his arm, and she leaned on him, her steps hesitant on the soft carpet. Every corridor, every room they passed seemed to carry echoes of a dark past, but her son's presence by her side was an impenetrable shield. As they approached the library, the unmistakable aroma of aged paper and leather filled the air. The massive door, which once seemed a portal to a forbidden world, was now wide open, inviting her in. The sheikh's mother paused at the threshold, her eyes sweeping over the imposing shelves that stretched to the ceiling, filled with volumes of all colors and sizes. The morning sun streamed through the tall windows, illuminating dust motes dancing in the air like tiny stars. She took a deep breath, a mix of nostalgia and relief. "It's exactly as I remembered," she murmured, a solitary tear tracing a path down her face. The sheikh squeezed her hand. "It's yours, Mother. Always has been." She walked slowly between the shelves, her thin fingers brushing the spines of the books. There was one book in particular she sought, an ancient edition of 1001 Nights with a leather cover and intricate illustrations. Her eyes lit up when she found it. Nestled among other classics, she pulled it out carefully, and the sweet, earthy scent of the old book enveloped her. Opening it to a marked page, she smiled. "I was reading the story of Sinbad the Sailor," she said, her voice choked with emotion. The sheikh pulled a comfortable armchair near the window, where the light was perfect. She sat down, cradling the book in her lap, and the image of her, absorbed in her reading, brought a deep peace to the sheikh's heart. He sat in a nearby chair, watching her, feeling the weight of injustice dissipate, replaced by the beauty of that moment. While his mother lost herself in Sinbad's adventures, Aisha returned, this time accompanied by a woman with a warm smile and lively eyes, the physiotherapist, Ms. Zara. "Good morning, Madame," Zara said, her voice soft and encouraging. "I hear you're ready to start regaining your strength." The sheikh's mother closed the book, a little surprised, but not apprehensive. The sheikh approached. "Zara is one of the best, Mother. She will help you get stronger, at your own pace." The first session was light, focusing on gentle stretches and breathing exercises. Zara explained each movement with patience, and the sheikh's mother, though still weak, demonstrated a silent determination. Her muscles, long neglected, protested slightly, but she persisted. The sheikh watched. Every small effort of hers was a victory. Later, as the sun climbed higher in the sky, tinging the garden with a more intense light, Aisha and Rashid met with the sheikh to discuss plans for redecorating his mother's suite. Aisha brought samples of luxurious fabrics, soft color palettes, and catalogues of elegant furniture. "Madam once mentioned she liked shades of lavender and cream, sheikh," Aisha said, pointing to a soft silk. The sheikh nodded. "Yes, she always had an appreciation for calm. I want the room to be a sanctuary of peace and comfort. And Rashid, make sure the temperature is always perfect and that there are no disturbing noises. I want her to have the most peaceful sleep she has ever had." Rashid, now more confident and dedicated, noted every instruction with seriousness. "It will be done, Sheikh. The team is ready to start as soon as Madam gives her preferences." By the end of the day, the Sheikh's mother was tired, but a sparkle of satisfaction danced in her eyes. She had read, exercised gently, and even leafed through some catalogues, choosing a fabric for her new room curtains. Small steps, yes, but each one was a firm step out of the darkness. The mansion, once a stage of silent cruelty, now resonated with the soft sound of life being reclaimed, of dignity being restored. The sheikh knew the journey was long, but seeing her smile, even if tired, was the greatest reward. The promise of a glorious dawn was unfolding, one day at a time. The following morning brought with it a renewed clarity, not only in the cloudless blue sky that stretched over the mansion, but also in the sheikh's heart. He rose early, his sleep deeper and more tranquil than he had experienced in months. The image of his mother, smiling even if tired, was a balm for his soul. The promise of a new beginning was no longer a distant hope, but a palpable reality he was determined to nurture. As the sun began to kiss the mansion's gardens, the sheikh met with Aisha and Rashid. Fabric samples and furniture catalogues were spread across a table in the living room. "My mother had a good night's sleep," he announced, a tone of relief in his voice. "She's eager to see the changes in her room." Aisha smiled. "That's wonderful news, Sheikh. The design team is already on standby, awaiting your finalizations to begin. We have here some options for light wood furniture and breathable fabrics in shades of lavender and cream, as Madam suggested." The Sheikh carefully analyzed the options. "I want every detail to reflect her serenity and strength. May the environment be a refuge of peace. Rashid, ensure that the lighting is soft and adjustable, and that the climate control system maintains a constant and pleasant temperature. I don't want drafts or any discomfort." Rashid noted with his clipboard in hand. "It will be a priority, Sheikh. The installation team is ready to work with maximum discretion and efficiency, so as not to disturb Madam." With the guidelines established, the sheikh went to meet his mother. She was sitting in bed, savoring an herbal tea Aisha had prepared, a book open in her lap. Her eyes, once somber, now reflected a serene calm. "Good morning, my son," she said, her voice soft as the morning breeze. "I slept deeply. How long has it been since I had such restorative sleep?" The sheikh sat beside her. "I'm happy to hear that, Mother, and I have great news. The redecoration of your room will begin today. Would you like to come and look at the samples, or would you prefer me to choose, knowing your tastes?" A spark of curiosity lit up her eyes. "I would love to see, my son. It's good to feel that I have a voice again about things in my home." With Aisha's support, the sheikh's mother was taken to the living room. Her eyes swept over the options, and she pointed to a silk fabric in a pale lavender hue. "This one." This reminds me of the flower fields we used to visit in spring when you were little. The sheikh felt a pang of emotion upon hearing the memory. It will be this one, mother. And how about a soft armchair near the window for you to read and watch the garden? She nodded, a genuine smile spreading across her lips. Sounds perfect. While the design team and artisans began working on her room with almost silent efficiency, Dr. Zara, the physiotherapist, arrived for the second session. Good morning, madam. How do you feel today? Better, much better, the sheikh's mother replied. Sleeping well makes all the difference. The physiotherapy session was a little more intense, but still gentle. Zara helped her do wider stretching exercises and take a few slow steps down the hallway, supported by the physiotherapist's arm. Every small movement was a victory, and the sheikh's mother felt her long dormant muscles awaken with a slight protest. The sheikh watched closely, ready to intervene if necessary, but proud of her resilience. Later, while his mother rested after physiotherapy, the sheikh received a call from Adnan. Sheikh, the restraining order has been issued and is quite comprehensive. Safira cannot approach your mother or any of your properties. Additionally, her accounts have been frozen and the assets she tried to transfer to her name are being reverted. She is completely isolated. A wave of somber satisfaction coursed through the sheikh. Excellent, Adnan. Make sure there are absolutely no loopholes. I don't want her to have any means to cause more pain. Rest assured, Sheikh, she is facing the consequences of her actions. There's no way she can rebuild herself or get close. The Sheikh hung up, feeling the last vestige of Safira's shadow dissipate. Justice, though delayed, had been delivered. In the afternoon, his mother's room was already unrecognizable. The walls had been painted in a soft cream, the new lavender silk curtains filtered the sunlight, and an upholstered armchair in the same color awaited near the window. The bed was now a sanctuary of soft linen sheets and plush pillows. A gentle aroma of lavender and jasmine coming from a discreet diffuser filled the air. When the sheikh's mother entered her new room, her eyes widened. She brought her hand to her mouth, a sob escaping. It's beautiful, my son. It's more than I could have dreamed of. The sheikh embraced her, feeling the warmth of her fragile body. It's yours, mother, a place where you can finally find the peace you deserve. She walked to the window, observing the garden, and then sat in the armchair. A sigh of contentment filled the room. The silence, once oppressive, now was an invitation to calm. The sheikh felt a deep gratitude. The reconstruction was not just of a room, but of a life, of a dignity, of a love that had been suffocated and now bloomed anew. Every step, every smile from his mother was a brick in the foundation of a glorious future. The dawn brought a serenity the sheikh's mother hadn't felt in decades. She awoke in the welcoming silence of her new room, the air perfumed with the soft lavender from the diffuser. Sunlight, filtered by the silk curtains, painted the floor with golden and cream tones. Her muscles were less tense, and a deep rest had finally healed the exhaustion accumulated in her soul. She sat on the bed, the soft linen brushing her skin, and a sigh of pure contentment escaped her lips. The sheikh, who had watched over his mother until she fell into a deep sleep the night before, was already awake. He found her on her room's balcony, observing the garden that stretched below. Jasmine tea steamed in her hands. "Good morning, mother," he said, his voice full of tenderness. "Did you sleep well?" She turned, a genuine smile illuminating her face. "Like a baby, my son. It's as if a weight of years has been lifted from my shoulders." Aisha arrived moments later with a tray of fresh fruits and freshly baked flatbread. "Dr. Zara will be here soon, madam," she informed, her eyes radiating kindness. "She suggested you might want to take a short walk in the garden today, if you feel up to it." The sheikh's mother felt a pang of anxiety, but the idea of feeling the grass beneath her feet and the sun on her face was tempting. I would love to. The session with Dr. Zara was transformative. Instead of indoor exercises, Zara guided the Sheikh's mother to the garden. The fresh morning air was a balm. Slowly, with the firm support of the physiotherapist and the Sheikh, she took her first steps on the soft grass. Every movement was an effort, but the sensation of the cool dew and the aroma of freshly opened roses propelled her. A bird chirped happily from a nearby branch, and she paused, lifting her face to the sun, her eyes closed. A solitary tear streamed down her cheek, but it was a tear of pure joy. "You're doing wonderfully, madam," Zara praised, her voice soft. "The body remembers the way, it just needs a little encouragement." The Sheikh watched, his heart overflowing with emotion. His mother, who had been confined and humiliated, was now standing, breathing life again. He knelt and picked a red rose from the flower bed, handing it to her. "For the strongest woman I know," and she held the rose, inhaling its perfume. "Thank you, my son. Thank you for everything." In the afternoon, while his mother rested, the Sheikh met with Rashid and Aisha. "I want the garden to be even more accessible. Gentle ramps where necessary, comfortable benches at strategic points, and perhaps a small herb garden. She always enjoyed gardening." Rashid noted with his usual efficiency. "It will be arranged immediately, Sheikh. We already have a landscaping team that can start tomorrow." Aisha smiled. "And perhaps a small afternoon tea in the garden when she's feeling stronger, with the date cookies she loves so much." The Sheikh nodded, imagining the scene. Peace was taking root in the mansion. The next day, the Sheikh's mother woke with renewed energy. She asked to have breakfast in the main dining room, a place she hadn't visited in years. The table was set with fine porcelain and fresh flowers. The Sheikh sat beside her, and conversation flowed freely about the day's news, about the garden's flowers, about memories of his childhood. "You know, my son," she said, a mischievous glint in her eyes, "I was thinking of visiting the library again today. Perhaps I'll start a new story." The Sheikh felt a wave of warmth. "It would be a pleasure, Mother, and perhaps afterward we can take another walk in the garden. The new rose bushes are blooming." She smiled, a broad and sincere smile he hadn't seen in so long. Her voice, once a fragile whisper, now carried a soft melody. The mansion, which once echoed with the oppressive silence of cruelty, was now filled with the soft sound of life blossoming, of dignity restored, and of the promise of a glorious future, woven with love and care. The mansion, which once echoed with the oppressive silence of cruelty, was now filled with the soft sound of life blossoming, of dignity restored, and of the promise of a glorious future, woven with love and care. The scent of fresh coffee and sweetened dates floated through the dining room, a gentle invitation to the day that was beginning. The Sheikh's mother, dressed in a light silk robe, was already seated at the table, savoring a piece of flatbread with honey. Her eyes scanned the pages of a book she had chosen from the library the day before, an adventure novel that transported her to distant lands. A discreet smile played on her lips as she read. The Sheikh entered the room, his step silent. "Good morning, Mother. I see adventure called you early today." She looked up, her smile widening. "Good morning, my son. It's wonderful to be able to lose myself in a story again. This book reminds me of the tales your father used to read to you before bed." A pang of longing, but also of affection, filled her voice. "I'm glad you're enjoying it," he said, sitting across from her. "The landscaping team has already started working on the new ramps and herb beds in the garden. You'll be able to visit it more easily soon." "Oh, that's wonderful," she exclaimed, her eyes sparkling. "I've always wanted a small bed of basil and rosemary. Their scent brings back so many memories." While they had coffee, Aisha entered, bringing a pot of mint tea. "Dr. Zara has arrived, madam. She's waiting on the terrace." The Sheikh's mother nodded, a gleam of determination in her eye. "Tell her I'm coming. Today, I want to try to go to the lake." The Sheikh felt a wave of pride. The lake was a considerable distance, and the idea of his mother walking there seemed almost a miracle just a few weeks ago. He accompanied her to the terrace, where Zara awaited her with an encouraging smile. "Good morning, madam. Ready for our journey today?" Zara asked, extending her arm. "More than ready," the Sheikh's mother replied, her voice firm. The first steps were cautious, but soon she found a rhythm. The Sheikh walked a little behind, observing every movement, every breath. The morning breeze caressed her face, and the birdsong filled the air with a soft melody. The soft grass beneath her feet was a green carpet, and the scent of freshly opened flowers enveloped her. When they reached the edge of the small lake, the Sheikh's mother stopped, observing the mirrored surface of the water. A white swan glided gracefully, leaving a gentle wake. She let out a deep sigh, a sigh of pure liberation. "It's so beautiful," she murmured, her voice choked with emotion. "How long has it been since I saw the lake up close?" A tear streamed down her cheek, but it was not of sadness, but of overwhelming joy. Zara smiled, gently squeezing her arm. "You did it, madam, and with incredible strength." The Sheikh approached, kneeling beside her. "You are the strongest woman I know, mother, and this is just the beginning." He extended his hand and touched the cold water of the lake, then brought it to her face, like a blessing. In the afternoon, while his mother rested deeply after the effort, the Sheikh met with Rashid. "I want you to prepare a small event, an intimate dinner in the garden, perhaps next week, just for us and some of the closest staff, like Aisha and Zara. I want my mother to feel celebrated, to feel that this is her home again, full of life and joy." Rashid noted with his usual efficiency. "It will be an honor, Sheikh. I can already imagine the atmosphere. Flowers, soft lights, discreet music." The Sheikh nodded, a genuine smile on his face. "Yes, I want every detail to reflect her beauty and resilience. And make sure the herb garden is ready in time. She wants to plant basil and rosemary." The mansion, once a stage of silence and suffering, now vibrated with the promise of celebration. Every step of the Sheikh's mother, every smile, every word of joy was a link reconnecting, weaving a new tapestry of life. The future, which once seemed an abyss of loneliness, now unfolded like a flowering garden where dignity and love finally found their home. The future, which once seemed an abyss of loneliness, now unfolded like a flowering garden where dignity and love finally found their home. The morning sun burst over the mansion with renewed energy, painting the dining room's stained glass windows with vibrant colors. The Sheikh's mother awoke with the lightness of a bird, her mind clear and her body surprisingly agile. She descended the stairs without anyone's help, a feat that filled her with silent pride. The scent of coffee and Arabic sweets guided her to the kitchen, where Aisha was already overseeing breakfast. "Good morning, my dear," said the Sheikh's mother, her voice resonating with new strength. "Can I help with anything?" Aisha turned, a wide smile illuminating her face. "Good morning, madam. How wonderful to see you so eager. The Sheikh is already in the garden, supervising the work on the ramps. He asked that you not worry about anything, just enjoy yourself." But the Sheikh's mother felt a need to participate, to reconnect with the home that was being meticulously restored for her. "Not worry, my hands are eager to touch the earth again. I'll join him in the garden. Perhaps I can choose the spots for the basil and rosemary." In the garden, the transformation was visible. The landscaping team worked diligently, tools clinking softly as new stone ramps were laid, bypassing the steps and blending harmoniously with the landscape. Beds of fresh herbs began to take shape, exuding an earthy and promising aroma. The Sheikh, with his shirt sleeves rolled up, conversed with the master gardener, pointing to different areas. He turned upon hearing his mother's soft footsteps. "Mother, what a pleasant surprise. I thought you'd be resting." "Resting is for when there's no basil to plant, my son," she replied with a sparkle in her eyes. "I want this bed here," she pointed to a sunny spot near a newly installed bench, "to be for the basil, and that one, closer to the fountain, for the rosemary. Their scent will perfume the whole air." The sheikh watched, his heart overflowing with joy. His mother was not just recovering. She was flourishing, planting seeds of life and hope. He called the gardener and conveyed her instructions, which were received with a respectful nod. In the afternoon, while the sheikh's mother took an invigorating nap, the sheikh and Rashid met to finalize the preparations for the garden dinner. "I want it to be impeccable, Rashid," the sheikh emphasized. "Soft lights, like fireflies among the trees. Discreet music, perhaps an oud, something that brings peace and joy. And the flowers. Let them be the freshest and most vibrant from our garden." Rashid nodded, noting every detail. "I've already arranged for an oud musician, sheikh, and the lighting will be magical. Aisha is handling the menu with the chef, ensuring all of your mother's favorite dishes are present, including the date cookies she so appreciates. And the final touch," the sheikh added, a smile forming. "I want the herbs my mother planted today to be used in one of the dishes, a symbol of the new life she is cultivating." The next day, the mansion buzzed with a different energy. It was not the energy of tension or fear, but of joyful anticipation. The sheikh's mother spent the morning in the library, reading and making notes in a new notebook, a gift from her son. Her eyes, once dull, now sparkled with curiosity and engagement. She even helped Aisha choose the flower arrangements for the tables, her soft laughter echoing through the corridors. "This will be the most special dinner we've ever had," she commented to Aisha, holding a bouquet of jasmine. "It's a celebration of life, isn't it?" Aisha smiled, her eyes moist. "Yes, madam, a celebration of your life." The sheikh, observing her from afar, felt a deep peace. The mansion was indeed becoming a flowering garden, where every leaf and every petal bore witness to restored dignity, unconditional love, and the promise of a glorious future, where joy would be the most abundant harvest. The stage was set for the celebration that would mark not only the end of suffering, but the beginning of an era of pure happiness. The night of the celebration arrived, bringing with it a gentle breeze that carried the scent of jasmine and the freshly planted herbs. The mansion's garden was transformed. Hundreds of small lights like golden fireflies hung from the trees and intertwined in the bushes, creating a private starry sky beneath the palm trees. Strategically placed torches cast a warm glow over the stone paths, guiding the few guests to the heart of the event. In the center of the garden, a long, polished wooden table was set with white linen tablecloths and lush floral arrangements, combining jasmine, roses, and orchids in shades of cream and gold. Candles floated in small glass vessels, their flames dancing and casting soft shadows. The soft melody of an oud floated in the air, its strings plucked with a delicacy that soothed the soul and invited contemplation. The sheikh's mother descended to the garden, accompanied by Aisha and Zara. She wore a silk kaftan in a deep blue hue, embroidered with golden threads that reflected the lights. Her hair, now stronger and shinier, was styled in an elegant bun, and a genuine smile illuminated her face. Her eyes, once clouded with pain, now radiated a serenity and joy that touched everyone. The sheikh awaited her at the base of the garden stairs, his heart filling with an indescribable emotion as he saw her so radiant. He extended his hand, and she held it firmly. "Mother, you are stunning," he said, his voice choked. "And you, my son, are giving me the most beautiful night of my life," she replied, squeezing his hand. Together they walked to the table where Rashid, the chef, and some other staff members who had served the family for years already awaited them, their faces expressing a contained joy and deep respect. The sheikh gestured for everyone to sit. The atmosphere was intimate and welcoming, a circle of trust and affection. Dinner began with an aromatic lentil soup, followed by a selection of traditional Arabic dishes. The scent of slow-roasted lamb, couscous with fresh vegetables, and freshly baked flatbreads filled the air. With each dish served, the chef explained the ingredients, and a special sparkle appeared in her eyes when she presented a plate of herb-marinated chicken. "These are the herbs you planted, Sheikha," she said, pointing to the freshly picked basil and rosemary that adorned the dish. The sheikh's mother brought a piece to her mouth, and her eyes closed for an instant. "It's delicious," she murmured, a warmth spreading within her. "The taste of my own land, cultivated with my own hands." During the meal, lively conversations filled the space. The sheikh's mother recounted stories of her youth, of how she and her late husband had planned every detail of that garden. The sheikh listened attentively, discovering new facets of the woman he thought he knew so well. Aisha and Zara, sitting nearby, smiled and participated, their presences confirming the new status of the matriarch, not as a patient or a servant, but as the true lady of the house. Rashid, always discreet, observed the scene with a silent satisfaction. He had witnessed the dark days, and now he saw the light return. The sheikh's mother's soft laughter, the sparkle in her eyes, the way she leaned in to talk to Aisha about a specific flower, all of it was proof of the miracle the sheikh had wrought. When dessert, a variety of Arabic sweets and his mother's favorite date cookies was served, the sheikh stood, gently tapping his glass with a spoon. The crystalline sound echoed, and the oude music faded to silence. "I would like to make a toast," he began, his voice firm but with a palpable emotion, "to this incredible woman, my mother. She is the personification of strength, resilience, and unconditional love. For too long, this house was not a home for her, but today and forever she is the heart and soul of this place." He paused, his eyes meeting hers. "Mother, you inspire us all. May this night be just the beginning of a long and happy life, full of peace and all the joys you deserve." Everyone raised their glasses, and a chorus of "To health" and "Amen" filled the air. The sheikh's mother felt tears well up, but they were tears of pure happiness. She looked at each face around the table, at the dancing lights, at the flowers, at her son. This was her home, this was her family. The night continued with more laughter and conversations under the soft mantle of the night sky and the glow of the stars. The mansion, which had once been a stage for silent suffering and veiled cruelty, now vibrated with the purest and most sincere happiness. The celebration was not just a dinner, it was a declaration that love had triumphed, that dignity had been restored, and that finally peace had found its way back home. The morning breeze, laden with the scent of jasmine and freshly planted herbs, whispered a melody of peace through the mansion's windows. The sheikh's mother awoke with a smile. There was no longer the weight of anxiety in her chest, nor the chill of uncertainty in her bones. The soft bed, the respectful silence broken only by the bird song outside, all confirmed that she was where she belonged, in her home, loved and safe. She rose, feeling a renewed energy pulsating in her veins. She went down for breakfast, where Aisha awaited her with fresh mint tea and warm flatbreads. "Good morning, madam," Aisha said, her eyes shining with affection. "Did you sleep well?" "Like an angel, my dear," the matriarch replied, sitting at the table that was now always set for her with care and attention. "Last night was a dream." In the days that followed, the mansion flourished alongside its matriarch. The sheikh's mother was no longer a reclusive or fragile figure. She walked through the gardens, inspected the new ramps with an approving gaze, and pointed out to Rashid the ideal spots for new fruit trees. Her voice, once hesitant, now resonated with authority and wisdom, but always tempered with her innate kindness. She spent hours in the library, leafing through books of poetry and history, or sitting on the balcony, watching the sun set over the distant deserts. A glass of pomegranate juice in hand, the sheikh, while managing his business, found time to be with her. They shared meals, long conversations, and even silent moments where the mere presence of each other was enough. He noticed how his mother's white hair seemed brighter, how the skin on her face gained a new radiance, and above all, how the sparkle in her eyes had returned in full. One afternoon, she surprised him in the library. "My son," she began, "there's something I would like to do. It's been years since I hosted my friends for tea." The sheikh smiled, his heart swelled with joy. "It would be an honor, mother, whenever you wish and however you wish." And so, a week later, the main drawing room was prepared for an afternoon tea. The silver trays gleamed. The fine pastries were artfully arranged, and the scent of fresh roses filled the air. The matriarch's friends, some of whom hadn't seen her in a long time, arrived with expressions of surprise and admiration. They had heard rumors of the Sheikh's sadness, but the woman who greeted them now was vibrant, elegant, and full of life. Laughter and conversations flowed freely, filling the mansion with contagious joy. The soft clinking of porcelain cups and the murmur of female voices created a symphony of well-being. The sheikh's mother told stories, listened to the news, and shared her plans for the garden. It was evident to all that the matriarch had reclaimed her rightful place, not just in the house, but in society. The sheikh watched from afar, a lump in his throat. That was the mother he knew, the strong and dignified woman he had always admired. Zara and Aisha were her loyal shadows, always ready to attend to any need, but now with the joy of serving a lady who treated them with affection and respect. The kitchen, once a place of terror for the matriarch, was now a space where she occasionally went to supervise the preparation of a special dish or to share an ancient recipe with the chef, always with a smile on her lips. Time passed, and each day was a testament to healing and renewal. The wounds of the past had not completely disappeared, but they had been transformed into scars that told a story of triumph. The mansion, which was once a stage of silent cruelty, was now a sanctuary of love and peace. The sheikh had kept his promise. He had restored his mother's dignity, and in doing so, he had restored the soul of his own home. Happiness was no longer a fleeting guest, but the permanent resident, rooted in the depths of every heart that lived there. The future, which once seemed dark and uncertain, now unfolded like a Persian carpet of vibrant colors, promising a tapestry of serene and joyful days. Promised like a Persian carpet of vibrant colors, were now woven into a palpable reality within the mansion. Seasons turned, bringing with them the crisp autumn breeze, the gentle warmth of winter, and finally the fragrant burst of spring. With each cycle of nature, the matriarch's life became even more deeply rooted in the heart of that home. She continued to be the soul of the house, her soft laughter echoing through the corridors that once held only her silent laments. The sheikh watched his mother with a gratitude that filled every fiber of his being. He saw her walk through the gardens, now filled with new species she herself had chosen and planted, her gloved hands touching the leaves and flowers with an almost sacred reverence. The rustle of leaves beneath her steps was a soft melody, a welcome contrast to the oppressive silence of the past. The library became her refuge, not to escape, but to explore. She read, wrote, and hosted scholars and poets, transforming the space into a center of culture and wisdom. The sheikh, passing by, would hear the buzz of voices in lively discussions, the clinking of teacups, and the occasional sound of a loud, genuine laugh from his mother herself. He knew she was not just the lady of the house, but the guardian of a legacy, a bridge between past and future. Aisha and Zara remained by her side, no longer as helpers on a rescue mission, but as loyal companions, an integral part of the new family that had formed. Their loyalty was unquestionable, and the affection with which they treated the matriarch was a mirror of the respect she inspired in everyone. The chef, in turn, continued to prepare the matriarch's favorite dishes, and the aromas of spices and fresh herbs that wafted from the kitchen were a constant reminder of the life and abundance that now permeated the mansion. One afternoon, as the sun painted the sky with shades of orange and purple, the sheikh found his mother sitting on the balcony, watching the horizon. She was no longer holding a glass of pomegranate juice, but a cup of mint tea, its steam dancing softly in the air. He approached and sat beside her, the soft sound of her kaftan silk brushing against the seat. "Mother," he said, his voice calm, "are you happy?" She turned her face to him, and her eyes, now radiant with the evening light, shone with a deep peace. A slight smile formed on her lips. "More than I could have dreamed, my son. This house, which was once a prison, is now my paradise, and you, my son, are my angel." The sheikh felt a lump in his throat. He had acted out of love and justice, but the true miracle was seeing the transformation in his mother. The scars of the past were still there, but they did not define her. They were marks of a battle won, of a strength that had emerged from the depths of suffering. "I just wanted you to have the life you always deserved," he murmured, taking her hand and squeezing it gently. "And you gave it to me, my son," she replied, returning the squeeze. "You gave me back to myself." The silence that followed was not of sadness or uncertainty, but of a deep and shared understanding. The song of a nightingale burst from the garden, a clear and sweet melody that seemed to bless the moment. The sheikha, the true lady of the mansion, had returned, and with her dignity, joy and love had settled in forever. The mansion, which once harbored darkness, was now a beacon of light, a testament to the power of filial love and justice. The story of its matriarch was no longer a tragedy, but an epic of resilience, a tale that would be told for generations, whispered by the desert winds and echoed within the walls of that renewed home. Peace, finally, had found its permanent home.